extreme amount of pain there.
Something big, like a Star Wars or a Marvel.
Wouldn't have been good, but would have been like, okay.
No! You are at the movies with Ace.
And Martin.
And I'm the king of the world, because we are ranking James Cameron movies. Big Jim, whatever you want to call him, the guy when it comes to the box office. I mean, he's going to end up with, what, like 30% of the top 10 highest grossing films list? That's insane. For those of you who don't know who James Cameron is, why are you listening to this? Why did you click on this video? But Nate, thoughts and feelings on James Cameron? Did you grow up with James Cameron?
First of all, I just want to say to everybody watching, to anybody listening,
I see you.
I have a long history with James Cameron. I think the first time I ever had like a big group sleepover in middle school, you know how like you'd have like 4 of your best friends all, maybe it's the middle of the summer, you know, you're living your Stranger Things life. Shoutouts to season 5. Fucking swill. Anyway. Yes, you're having your Stranger Things summer first sleepover of middle school, and the youngest kid in the group brought over Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and I think I was probably 11, and I was being explained the plot of Terminator 1 while watching Terminator 2 at a big group sleepover, and I saw that movie and I was like, God damn, they don't make movies like this. And I told my dad that I watched it, because if I told my mom, she would have probably been like, you're not allowed to go over there anymore. R-rated movies aren't acceptable. But I told my dad I watched that, and he was like, you haven't seen the first one? I was like, no. And he was like, well, gotta watch the first one. And I think James Cameron's filmography is what got me into not only genre movies at large, because this is, for the most part, before I even got into, like, horror movies, this is my introduction to action, to thrillers, to genre movies at large. There's not a better guy to do it, honestly. James Cameron is the king of the world.
Yeah, I mean, you know, growing up a Star Wars fan, you know, I always admired the world George Lucas created, but then kind of missed it, you know, by 2005, you know, that world's over. Until the revival, of course, but you have James Cameron come along, and he, you know, I grew up with Titanic, and then these Avatar movies are coming out, and it's, this guy is from that class of the Lucas, Coppola, you know, that class of incredible filmmakers, and, you know, he's another one of those huge pillars when you talk about the history of blockbuster movies. Spielberg, he gets credit as the inventor of the blockbuster movie, but Cameron no doubt elevated it to a level I don't think anyone could have foreseen.
1,000% he did. And I think one thing that separates him from that class is there's a few elements, but I don't know how much you know about James Cameron as a person, but you talk about your Coppolas and your Spielbergs and your Scorseses. All of those guys went to school for film. And I think why they rose to the top of kind of American New Wave, whether it be in the late 60s with the rise of like Coppola, the reason those guys became the cream of the crop is vastly different from how James Cameron kind of made the blockbuster. Yeah. James Cameron didn't go to film school. James Cameron, in his late 20s and early 30s, was a truck driver. He would intentionally find routes where he could drive a semi to downtown Los Angeles so he could go to UCLA and rent books about filmmaking from their library, rent movies, and taught himself the art form in a blue-collar way.
We love self-taught.
I think that speaks volumes to why he's been able to reach a different class and a different caliber of people. He's made 5 movies that have made more money than any Spielberg movie.
Yeah, it's insane.
He knows humanity in a different way than I think people that are in the film world. And you see that later in life with him more focusing on the science behind movies and the technology behind movies, and then taking that science and technology for film and applying it to the real world. I'm not gonna be dick riding James Cameron the whole episode. Don't worry. He's not perfect. He's kind of an asshole, but I love him.
I wanted to point out that I do greatly admire James Cameron before I start saying the things that I will say at the bottom of this list.
That's so valid.
Yeah, no doubt. He's such a strange director to rank because of so little of the number of films. but then there's so much to talk about with them. Like, we only got 10 movies here, and I'm sure this is going to be an hour conversation. You know, there's just, there's that much to get into when it comes to James Cameron. It's kind of wild.
Absolutely. And there's certain filmmakers out there that hate Paul Dano, who I'm not going to name for a fifth episode in a row, that are like stuck on this principle of you can't make movies when you're old, or you can't, you know, a director gets kind of lost in himself after a handful of movies or two handfuls of movies. And I don't know what the future has in store for James Cameron, except for the fact that I'm going to be there and it's going to make a lot of money.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But yes, as we get into this ranking, usually we start where one of us goes first, but I think we both have the same number 10.
I do think we both have the same number 10. It's the only movie here that he has, one, got fired from, and two, does not count as, like, his movie. He doesn't, like...
He disowned it.
If he was making his movies ranked, he would not include Piranha 2: The Spawning.
Wow. You know, this is an interesting film, especially for us, who we both can enjoy some good 2-star, 1-star horror movies. This one's a tough one, though. There's no piranhas for like an hour, and then you see them and they're flying. That is pretty funny, but everything's shot so close, you don't really see much. It's horribly shot. The dubbing for some lines is really bad. The sound mixing is pretty atrocious. No disrespect to anyone that made it, but obviously filmmaking is like cooking. You gotta make it with love. It's obvious James Cameron and other people involved did not make this with love.
No, but what he did make it with was the goal to use it as a launch pad to make something else. Mm-hmm. And, you know, this was a canon movie. You know, this was one of those fucking things that you do it and Roger Corman will greenlight your next project, or at least give you the money to make it yourself. And a lot of great filmmakers came from the Roger Corman film school. You know, the self-taught, make a fucking exploitation movie for me. And I think James Cameron had a really hard battle of making a sequel to a ripoff of Jaws with, like, no budget and no experience. He was at the time, I think he was kind of shadowing and helping out a camera and electrical department for, I think maybe even the first Piranha, but like some other Roger Corman produced canon films. I think there was just this moment where Roger Corman turned to him and he was like, hey, you're making the sequel. And then it started to get made. And yeah. I don't know how much of it he really understood, except for the fact that, like, in here, he learns how to cut his teeth as a director. He learns how to put his foot down, and he gets the money to make a movie that I'm sure we both have a lot higher.
You see some tiny things. You do see some tiny cameraisms that you see later. A lot of stuff underwater, which half of this filmography is underwater at this point.
He doesn't want to make the movie if you can't get the camera underwater, and that's something he said while making Piranha 2. Which, I don't know, have you seen Piranha 1?
No, I actually haven't. I was like, you know what, I'll just go into the sequel.
This movie is sloppier and cheaper, but I think it's better. Like, I do think it is a better movie.
I do like the plot is just they fly now.
Yeah, James Cameron's so ahead of his time. My number 9's a fucking hot take, I think. I know there's a lot of people a little bit older than us, some millennials, some Gen Xers that love this film. I have True Lies here at number 9.
Okay, interesting.
I have a lot of love for this movie. I think it's kind of actually the last great Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, like him being leading man, like Commando.
I think he's awesome.
Predator.
In this.
He's great. I don't have a problem.
This is kind of a you can make an argument this is his best, like, role, like a slight one. This movie doesn't work without him.
Yes, you're totally right. This movie doesn't work without him.
All the unbelievable stuff that happens only works because it's Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That's very true. And I like this movie. Like, I think I have it at like a 3.5 stars. The fact that this is the lowest James Cameron movie. 4. Hell yeah.
I had so much fun watching it.
I think my major gripes with True Lies come from the characters that aren't Arnold Schwarzenegger or Jamie Lee Curtis.
It's a 2-person show.
It's a relatively weak ensemble for a James Cameron movie. Pretty much any other movie on this list, there's at least a 4th or 5th lead, or like a character that steals a scene. And this is just them. It really is. I think one thing that is a little weird about True Lies, it is very much a continuation of Arnold's 80s run, but it's coming out in like a post Point Break and a post Speed like cinematic world. It's coming out after Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Was Catherine Bigelow and James Cameron still married?
I think they got divorced right after True Lies, if I remember correctly.
That's kind of funny. And I wouldn't be surprised if she kind of shadow directed some of these action sequences, because it was very Point Break.
Yeah, but it is like, it has the spectacle and the scope of a 90s action movie, but it has the characters and writing of an 80s one. That's something I'm going to use in my favor for some other movies.
So to connect this to an older episode, actually, who is a worse gaslighter? Tom Hanks in You've Got Mail or Arnold Schwarzenegger in True Lies?
It's still Tom Hanks.
It's still Tom Hanks, because I think
Mail.
the Arnold one, like, you could argue it's kind of hot what he's doing, in a way.
Yeah.
Like
this movie is hot. Jamie Lee Curtis has never looked better than in this movie.
I think Arnold is like kind of like, you know, like I could see people being attracted to him in this movie more than anything else I've seen him in. Because, like, I don't know. And listen.
Well, buddy, you haven't seen Junior.
I feel like for a lot of people, when you get so muscly, you almost become like asexual. Like, when The Rock won Sexiest Man of the Year, I'm like, really? I just don't think sexy when I think of The Rock. And I feel like that's how a lot of people probably felt around Arnold around this time. But, man, when he's sitting there and Jamie Lee Curtis is dancing, I'm like, this is hot. I didn't think I was going to say that.
He's very well dressed in this movie, and I feel like in a lot of his other movies, he's not. Like, in Conan, he's just wearing a loincloth.
Yeah, so I have True Lies a little higher, but I could see why. It's not a masterpiece by any means, but I don't know, and we'll see this throughout my list. I think James Cameron's at his best with his action more than the science fiction.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Where did you say you had this movie?
I had this movie at number 5.
Shit. Okay, we're gonna have very different lists.
Yeah, and we'll do what like we did with Friday the 13th. We'll reorder, reshuffle if we want. I'll say what my number 9 was, because it's another hot take. It's not an Avatar movie. I do not like The Abyss, and I know that is a scorching hot take.
It's not.
I was looking at my mutual letterbox people. Everybody at 4 stars, 4.5, and I'm like, I thought this was 2 stars. I did not care for it. The biggest thing for me was I didn't find the characters that memorable. It was interesting you brought up the True Lies stuff, that the supporting cast wasn't memorable. I felt the same with The Abyss. I like Ed Harris in it, but this, I don't know. When you think of James Cameron, you think of, you know, Aliens and Terminator, like this ensemble group of people, and you remember their names in that. I could see he was trying to do that. He was trying to get what he had with Aliens, and for me, it just didn't work. Actually, this movie was really missing Bill Paxton, and I really like Bill Paxton in True Lies with his little scumbag role. It just needed a character like that. And I know they tried it with that guy with the rat, and I was like, maybe they just needed a funnier actor there. I think that guy was kind of miscast. I think you needed somebody a little more entertaining in that role. The effects have not aged well at all. Usually I don't try to bring that up as a prequels fan, but this one, it doesn't come off charming, it just looks bad. I think that's my issue with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've watched that ILM documentary on Disney Plus. It's probably the best thing Disney Plus has put out. I think there's like literally half of an episode dedicated to James Cameron talking about what he was trying to accomplish at the time with this effect. But more importantly, it was the beta test for what they end up doing with the T-1000. Like, and he kind of knew that ahead of time.
Especially, that water squid, whatever the fuck that was. That's my problem, too, is James Cameron, the ocean aliens just, it's a lot. And I just, the brain turns off after a while. Not in a good way.
You know, I think that you're right on the money, because, like, this is, like, his, like, least well-received movie after Piranha 2. The people that appreciate this movie are people that have, like, watched every James Cameron movie, like, 4 or 5 times over. Yeah. And this one, because it's not as iconic and not as, like, beloved, has things to kind of go back and see again that haven't been celebrated yet. Like,
I could see this movie really works for people if you're marathoning James Cameron movies in order, because you're seeing the evolution, and it might make you appreciate, something like Way of the Water once you get to that point.
Yeah, I do have The Abyss a little bit higher, but I don't have it, it's not, top 5 for me. I think what The Abyss does really, really well is something that Cameron doesn't do well in other movies, where I feel like he often will give you, not unrealistic dialogue, but almost, rehashed or, intentionally vague dialogue, to the point in which you don't necessarily know what the characters are talking about until you see it. And I think The Abyss does a little bit better of a job of being a more grounded science fiction story where characters aren't speaking in vague terms that you don't understand.
I enjoy it when it's a claustrophobic thriller and then you have this crazed, Marine with a nuke. That half-hour stretch, I think, is very good. Then I'm like, oh god, there's probably a half hour left. What's gonna happen? And then Ed Harris gets carried by this alien thing, and then it's the ship, and I'm like, oh yeah. I kind of forgot that it was a sci-fi movie for a half hour.
That's fair. Yeah, it's not as action-packed as most of his other science fiction endeavors.
No.
I think that's why people appreciate it, but I also think that's the weaker element of it.
Yeah, when I just think James Cameron, for me, is at his best when it's his action spectacle. And when it comes to this stuff, and I will, discuss it on a trilogy of movies that I don't really care for, but I don't know. I think we're just going a little too far in a few places sometimes.
Yeah, no, I think he was really trying to push technology ahead. It was pretty much right after digital image computing was a thing in Photoshop that James Cameron was like, okay, great, now that we can do this, I need a character in this movie that doesn't speak, that is, a water alien squid. And they're like, are you fucking kidding me? We're 8 years out from doing this. He's like, cool, I need it in 8 weeks. So, without the people like James Cameron and George Lucas, I don't think progress really gets made.
Yeah.
They're the ones who, put their own name and their own equity on the line to, get a new thing done. And I think that kind of behavior and mentality is not only why The Abyss is appreciated, but why James Cameron is so beloved by, film circles. And I get it.
Even Lucas and Cameron at their lowest is still pushing the boundaries for future projects. I can't discredit them too much. I will go after James for his obsession with mythical water aliens, though. I will always be a little critic of that.
And honestly, I think as you should be. I think if you take it at face value, you get into a scary, slippery slope territory. Who's your favorite character in The Abyss? Is it Ed Harris?
Yeah, I think it is. He really sold me on when he's trying to bring his wife pretty much back to life after drowning her, self-drowning, and he's screaming at her, slapped her in the face. That's a great scene. It was a reminder, oh my god, this is Ed Harris. This is an A-tier actor.
Yeah. I really like Michael Biehn in this.
The crazed Marine. Great mustache.
I love when he goes crazy. It's really, really fun. And then I don't think this movie works without Ed Harris's wife, Mary Elizabeth Mastranatino, in this. She's not in a ton, but, you could tell that he was what, Sigourney's not available? Shit, I can't make this movie. And then she comes here and, brings, that sympathetic and, I don't know, the way she interacts with the water creature when it's first revealed is, truly one of the best scenes I think James Cameron has directed. And I'm glad he hasn't done it, but if you did, the special effects rework that George Lucas has done with his movies, that scene would be more celebrated than it is.
It's the only James Cameron movie where I'm down for a remake.
That's true. And, it's honestly, it's his only, it just... technology wasn't there at the time, or his only you push the envelope a little too hard this time kind of movie,
Yeah. You put Glenn Powell in there, have a funny comedian as one of the oil drillers. I'm down.
Stavros Halkias is an oil driller.
Shane Gillis.
Oh god, tires in the ocean.
Oh, we got to go down there.
Oh, fuck that. Right.
The alien goes, "Did you guys see that?"
Whoa, dude, what do you think he eats? My next lowest, I have The Abyss at 7, so we're pretty close on that.
Okay.
My next lowest, and granted it is the movie on here I have seen the least, is Avatar: Fire and Ash. I have very complicated feelings on this.
It's my number 6.
Okay, so we're in the same
we're right,
ballpark.
Yeah.
You know, I have very, very split feelings on this, and there was a moment where we were going to maybe try to get like a gut reaction Avatar review out there. I'm happy that we saved Fire and Ash for a ranking.
I think it was better that we sat with it.
I think it's better that we sat with it. I missed Avatar, the first one, in theaters, and when Way of the Water came out, I made it a goal to see that on the biggest IMAX screen I possibly could on opening day, like James Cameron fucking intended, with piss breaks included. And I did it. I marathoned through it, and I saw it 3 more times while it was in theaters. I brought that same fervor, that same energy, having rewatched Avatar: Way of the Water again at home, and more than once, twice. I brought that same excitement, that same, like, we haven't seen one in 14 years energy to this. And I was a little let down in a lot of ways. I wasn't like, this is a bad movie. I think that it's just, it feels like when you get a AAA video game, you get like the best fucking video game of maybe the last 10 years. You get a Red Dead 2, or you get a Spider-Man PS4. And then 2 years later, they put out, the Miles Morales, it's the new game.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not the new game. It's running on the same engine, and it's borderline DLC that I'm paying full price for. That's what this movie feels like. It's the Way of Water DLC with like, now here's the actual consequences. Here's the actual conflict. And it felt a little too late for me.
And they tease you in the first half hour where you're on this airship with these sails, and like, I thought that was visually really cool. And then they're all of a sudden they're attacked by this fire Navi, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Like, we're just getting something totally different here. We're going on a new adventure, and then we're back with the whales. I have a lot to say about that later, but we're back to Way of the Water. And even Way of the Water fans were like, wait a minute, I had 3 hours of Way of the Water. I don't need another 2. So it's like, I could understand the frustration.
The best parts of this movie are the areas where it deviates from Way of the Water the most, and that is coming from somebody who would not shut up about Way of the Water when it came out, because I was so impressed that it was actually incredible.
When do you think this movie should have ended?
That's a weighted question, because at the moment, for whatever reason, Jim being Jim, crazy fucking Uncle Jim, doesn't sound like he wants to make Avatar 4 and 5 out of nowhere.
After not shutting up that he's going to make like 10 of these. After 3, he's tapping out
5.
eventually.
He's committed to 5. He's committed to 5.
I've heard Avatar 6
like,
and 7, though, from his mouth. Like, the guy's got a big mouth when talking about this franchise.
And there's something about this, like, these movies were obviously filmed back to back. There's also photography done, like motion capture photography and principal photography done with Sigourney Weaver, Stephen Lang, and David Thewlis, who is in this movie for 8 minutes, for Avatars 4 and 5. So they have some, like, I'm talking a very little amount of principal photography done for 4 and 5 as well.
Man, and I think to myself, and I try not to fantasy book movies, and I know it's not pro wrestling, but if the movie ends with Jake getting captured, and then the opening sequence of the next movie is in that city with the people, and it's like, oh my god, this is totally different. Like, I just feel like that would be really effective, but it was all mushed into this movie.
Yes, because then they re-hit 2 big action set pieces that are kind of rehashes of the last one.
Yeah.
And like they do a better job of like making the like whale, like all the calf breeding festival or whatever the fucking, like, I'm sorry, I am an Avatar fan. I like these movies. If you want me to start saying they're fucking species, like, I'm sorry, I'm too stupid, and I'm sorry if that makes me a fucking marine or whatever. Like, whenever they're doing the calf ritual, the fucking whale baby like summoning circle, and they're all in one place, I'm like, oh, this just should have been the set piece at the end of Avatar 2. And like, it would have made a little bit more sense for the attack, like, gravity there. But then they also mix in the fucking, because he gets back on the Tulak Maktoum or whatever the fuck the big dragon is. He gets back on the big one.
And the one whale was mad at Jake's one son. I call him Raphael because it was just pretty much Leonardo and Raphael and Way of the Water. So he gets mad at Raphael, Navi. And he swims away, but he comes back, but there was no like discussion. I'm like, what happened here? I don't understand the politics of the whales.
Yeah, right, because there is like a higher council whales.
Yeah,
there's the matriarch.
Yeah, all of a sudden,
like
we're having like a
whale.
Jedi council, like prequel style, and they're getting banished from the land, and I'm like, wait a minute, what's happening?
Which is annoying because they reference the fact that had happened already in Avatar 2, and then now we get to see it again in Avatar 3, and I'm like, is this a flashback? Like, why is this happening?
And that's when I thought, I'm like, oh, is the movie ending with them leaving? They never really leave, and then we're back on the aircraft carrier with the kids captured, and I'm like, wait, you're re-releasing the same album.
Yes, in a lot of ways, this feels like the Avatar 2 B-sides. This feels like the Avatar 2 expansion pack. This feels like the Avatar 2 DLC. That being said, you did ask a very weighted question earlier that I avoided answering for a very specific reason. I do like the idea of ending it where Jake Sully's captured. However, you would have to add a lot more of the fucking airships and Fire Nation before that.
That's what I want.
A good, yeah, exactly. Like you're right. That's where it should have ended. And then you're like, how the hell are they gonna do this? Natiri just fell from 8,000 feet in the air and is still somehow alive, but can't like shoot a bow anymore. Like, she's not gonna help. Like, he's done for. He's in prison, and there's there's fucking people with the iPads. Like, we haven't seen really humans like that yet.
It was so jarring because I kind of forgot humans were there because we were so in Way the Water. We were so out of like that area.
Yeah. And to answer your question of where I think this movie should have ended, I think if you add that same kind of stuff in there, but you include the like re-rise Natiri comes out of, I mean, honestly, we haven't seen Natiri in action like that when she frees Jake Sully or help distract so Jake Sully can be freed since the first Avatar. You know, we had a whole 3-hour-long movie where Natiri felt like an afterthought in Way of the Water, which is my biggest gripe with that movie, a movie that I love a lot.
And I thought they were hinting at her to almost become an antagonist in this one, and that doesn't really happen. It's all resolved.
I think that this movie thematically, to justify Avatar 2 and its ignoring of Natiri, to bring her back and have her rescue Jake before the movie ends. But then the best scene in this movie is where it should have ended, which is when they've rescued Jake. Natiri has saved Jake.
Yeah.
They happen to also retrieve Spider, and then they do that Binding of Isaac ass scene where it's like, all right, we have to kill him. And if you end the movie with both Jake Sully and fucking Spider acknowledging Awa, bent at the knee with the knife to his throat, credits, directed by James Cameron.
Yeah, that's also a badass ending.
That is the perfect ending, because guess what? Half the audience wants Spider dead, 25% of the audience wants Spider alive, and 25% of us, me, don't give a shit, just make another Avatar movie. And that would force them to speed up that process a little more.
In my opinion, as not a fan of Avatar, Varong, I think she is the best villain, might be my favorite character in the trilogy, and she does not get enough screen time at all. She's the Boba Fett of the Avatar movies. I was waiting for more, and I never got any more.
I really like what we do get, and I feel like the next movie has a lot more of her in it. Unfortunately, just due to the structure of how many characters there are in this story, they introduce her in Quaritch's dynamic, And then the moment that dynamic gets introduced, she doesn't become a character anymore. And that is my biggest gripe with James Cameron, is female characters tend to be an afterthought when it comes to plot and spectacle to him. It happens throughout a lot of his filmography, and it's very frustrating, but it's not always the case. Because he does also, in this movie, write a scene where Neytiri single-handedly saves the day.
That's true.
You know, so
she is probably the best female character he's ever written.
But yeah, I agree. I think when Avatar 4 gets made, I have no doubts that it gets made. All three of these movies have made over $1 billion now. There's no doubt an Avatar 4 gets made. The question is, does it get made by James Cameron entirely? Or does James Wan do it?
Can I ask you an almost hater question about the future of Avatar?
Yes, please.
We've had our 3 big IMAX movies, and I think a lot of us could agree that when it came to, visually, there wasn't anything really that big of a leap in Fire and Ash. Granted, Way of the Water was only 3 years before. But now that we have a connection to these characters, Avatar now has a connection. Would it be that much of a difference if it was like an animated movie? Would it? If, like, Cameron keeps talking about if he doesn't do the next one, it'd be a novel, and I'm like, why don't you just do an animated movie? Like, seriously, what's the big difference? You would cut your budget in half.
This is crazy coming from you, of all people, because
I know
for a fact you won't watch Avatar 4 if it's an animated movie.
There were parts of Fire and Ash where I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, I'm pretty much watching an animated movie. Like,
okay. I mean, I felt that way with every single Avatar movie, and I think that that's kind of what makes it so impressive, is that it takes you out of reality so much that you're like, this is kind of just an animated movie. I mean, there's very few actual practical things happening, but the motion capture is so valuable to James Cameron.
It's like the trailer for the Darth Maul show came out today, and I was thinking about Star Wars, as I do, and Ray Park.
I mean, Ray Park decided to post nudes on his Instagram again to promote the new animated Darth Maul show. It's... What the hell is wrong with that man?
Ray Park, personally, weird dude, but he does a lot of choreography for the last season of Clone Wars and then into this show, I assume.
Oh, yeah.
What's the difference between that and then what the cast of Avatar does? There is a difference, but it's not that big of a difference, No,
and you're right. And I mean, motion capture technology for animation's been around since the dawn of animation, really. They would sample off of dancers way back when they were doing animated, like, hand-drawn Disney movies. They would get actors in the studio, and just try to paint their motions. It's been around forever.
The cast of Rango, almost 20 years ago, did it.
And even before that, honestly, if we want to speak about a Barbie movie that isn't directed by Greta Gerwig, my apartment's new nickname is Barbie Land, because I'm surrounded by women. And we've been watching all the fucking straight-to-DVD Barbie movies, periodically. And I don't know if you know this, they actually hooked up, for Barbie Nutcracker, the first ever Barbie movie made by Mattel, they hooked up Metropolitan Opera ballet dancers to motion capture, and then just added their really bad rip-off Pixar animation on top of it. And they were like, yeah, we don't even have to animate the keyframes.
Yeah.
We've got all their bits enough to make it work.
Yeah, I think Surf's Up did it as well, where they were kind of in, a VR thing. It was kind of the first VR movie of its time in a way.
Yeah. The way they did the motion capture technology hybrid with some animation was incredible.
It's that weird line, because you want to give James Cameron the credit, like we did with his other projects, but at the same time, we're now in this age where there are other people innovating that aren't getting the credit, because now we're in the streaming content world, and some of these things are getting fallen to the wayside or just not talked about because it's not in the zeitgeist. So it's this weird line now with this Avatar franchise where, well, if we can't push the limit anymore, how can we push the limit in other ways? Because Cameron, I mean, if he wanted to, he could push the limits in animation, much like Spider-Verse did.
I agree. I think it's a big ask for a man in his 70s to make his first ever animated movie.
That's true.
As much as Avatar is an animated movie, I think that would have to be a co-directed thing, just
Yeah.
because in the way that you have to communicate, it is a different art form than even what he's doing, which is like a hybrid of animation, visual effects. But the stuff that James Cameron directs is the motion capture scenes.
You know, a lot of the performances are great, and you do have to give him credit for that. Some of them, Sigourney Weaver. Not her fault.
Honestly, I think she's better in Fire and Ash than she is in Way of the Water. I think so, at some point in the filming of that long stretch where they got her to do principal photography for 4 movies in her 70s playing a 14-year-old, I think somewhere along that line, like, she kind of hit a little bit better as it went on.
She's the only actor for me in those movies where I'm just like, she is in front of a blue screen right now. I do not feel the character.
That's so wild to me, knowing that Spider exists.
That's fair.
I mean, I honestly, like, Avatar Way of the Water, I walked out and was like, I didn't mind the white guy with dreads as much as I thought I would. But when he got his, like, I don't even know what the fuck. If James Cameron doesn't make another Avatar movie, the last line of James Cameron directed Avatar movies is, no shit. When he's getting sworn into, like, A1 becoming a Na'vi despite being biologically human.
To just continue the Avatar talk, my next lowest is Way of the Water, so we could just kind of go into Way of the Water as during our Fire and Ash.
I like this. This is the fire, the water, the dynamics. I have this movie a lot higher.
Here's my take of Avatar as a whole now that there are 3 of them. And I'm sorry to once again bring up Star Wars, but to me, these movies are the prequels, but without Star Wars. There is no other movies to attach them, so when the quality of the story goes down, but then the other things are elevated, it makes it weaker than something like Star Wars, than something like Marvel, DC. There's just nothing for me connecting these movies. Maybe this is a conversation more of the first movie, because that, you know, that's more of a blame on the first movie. It was not the foundation that it should have been, in my opinion. But then I get to Way of the Water, here we are years later, and I went in with a fresh mind. I saw the re-release of Avatar 1. I enjoyed my time. It was the first time I ever saw it in IMAX. It was needed to really feel what Avatar was.
No, I did see the re-release as well in IMAX.
Yeah. And I get to Way of the Water. I'm watching the journey. I'm admiring it. But then the movie ends and I'm just like, it's still Avatar. And I know that is a personal gripe, but I'm just like, I just wish I had a better connection. The middle of the movie turns into a Disney Channel original movie where it's all of a sudden all the kids hanging out. And a lot of people like it. I was kind of like, Where's the characters I did like in that movie I didn't like? Where's Neytiri, you know, the best character of this trilogy? I kind of wanted to see more of her, and what's Jake up to? I haven't seen them in, like, you know, 15 years or however long it was. And then the whales. I'm sorry, I didn't get the whale thing. Not that I didn't get it. I understood the whale thing. Going back to The Abyss, James Cameron loves his mythical sci-fi things in the water. He's got a bit of an obsession with it. That's fine, but it's just not for me. At the end of the day, that world is just not for me. And now that we're 3 movies in, I think I've accepted that. And maybe that's why Fire and Ash was my favorite, because I just finally accepted that Avatar wasn't for me, unfortunately. There's a lot to admire. I agree with you that action sequence at the end of Way of the Water is some of the best action of the past decade. It'll probably go down as some of the best action set pieces of the 2020s, but it's only for like 20 minutes of this like 3-hour movie.
I think your criticism of Way of the Water is like extremely valid. And I think the thing that you said the most that resonated with me, there were 2 points that you brought up. One, where are the characters that I liked from the movie I didn't like all that much? And that is big problem with Avatar Way of the Water that I have to agree with you. Like, you're right. We lose Neytiri entirely. The fact that her character takes a sideline to like, well, we got these cool new whales. Don't you like the whales? Like, the whales are pretty cool, though. And I do like the whales. Do not get me wrong.
I know you're a whales guy.
That's where we disagree. I fuck with the whales.
Maybe I'm feeling what people in the 80s felt about Ewoks, so maybe in like 20 years my kids will convince me that the whales are cool. I
think they will. Yeah. I think you're right, and I think they will. And then they'll be like, yeah, cool Uncle Martin was always on board with the whales. Why weren't you?
One of the few things that like I remember verbatim about the first Avatar movie is the introduction of Neytiri, like calling Jake stupid in that, and it is such a great introduction to a fascinating character, and I don't get that with these new characters except for Stephen Lang's character, who I think is the star, the true standout of this movie and the rest of the series.
I mean, what we saw in Fire and Ash with Quaritch is you see him kind of going through the beats that Jake Sully's going through when he first becomes a Na'vi or first is an Avatar. You start to see that with his relationship with Varang, and I think it's one of the best elements of Fire and Ash that I failed to mention earlier. Quaritch is now the main character, even if he's the villain. I have to say, from a Star Wars perspective, sometimes the villains are your best characters.
Yeah.
And I don't blame James Cameron for leaning into that. Back to the Star Wars analogy, the part I disagree with you is that you see the Avatar movies as the prequels. And I get what you're saying from like a substance level where it's like,
from what
they're
they're
visual effects forward.
Yeah.
They're like, we're focused more on the technology than we really are the plot of the characters. And for that, I totally agree. But from a storytelling perspective, not intentionally, but what I think they're doing with Avatar as it stands now, this is coming from like someone who's hopefully optimistic that James Cameron is changing his tune again soon, meaning sometime within the next 10 years, and gives us 4 and 5.
Hey,
which I think will happen.
Hey, I'm hopefully optimistic about my sci-fi franchise too, when I really shouldn't be. You know, it happens.
Yep. But my point is, I don't really see the Avatar movies and the prequels that much aligned from like quality or like from a narrative standpoint. I don't see them as that similar. I think like what the Star Wars prequels set up is so like we have to get to this destination. We do not know the destination that Avatar has to get to. I don't think even James Cameron knows the destination that Avatar needs to get to be entirely honest. But what I do feel is that when the first Avatar was being made, I do not think that James Cameron had any intentions of being like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Like, I don't think he for a moment was like, yeah, I'm going to make 5 of these while he was making that.
And it's amazing too, you hear it a lot from writers where they always say, oh, this could be my Star Wars. This could be. And Cameron is one of those rare filmmakers, top 1%, where he could make his big franchise. And like, it's just weird that it is Avatar. Now watching The Abyss and his documentaries and stuff, I understand why this is the thing you're passionate about. And you should write what you know. You should make what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the boomer take on like environmentalism. It's the boomer take on the military industrial complex. Like, I understand why James Cameron, a boomer, is like, this is my Star Wars now.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say was that with the first Avatar being so much its own isolated thing, and I know it was written as a prequel, to me that feels like Tolkien's Hobbit. To me that feels like this is the inciting incident, this is the plot, this is the characters, the world, and it's all the way back here. And now we have this big time jump, and to me, with the pacing of Way of the Water and it having such an explosive third act, I think that Avatar Way of the Water is held up so heavily by, you get to that final, let's say 40 minutes of the movie when the military they're coming for the Sully.
I'm on the edge of my seat. Yeah.
That is the best climax of a movie since The Dark Knight, in my opinion.
There's definitely
from a spectacle and scope perspective. I think the fact that Avatar Way of the Water has a 5-act structure, like The Dark Knight, like Michael Mann's Heat, like there is like these big action set pieces every 45 minutes to get you to this explosive finale. It works for me on so many levels. That feels like his Fellowship of the Ring. He's like reestablishing new characters, a generation younger, that are going to go on a much larger journey.
To go back to Fire and Ash, I thought that was going to be Return of the King. Like, I thought that this was the grand thing, and it wasn't that. But you're right, Way of the Water could be like that Two Towers, where this was the masterpiece. Because for a lot of people, Two Towers is the secret masterpiece, that second movie.
Well, but Way of the Water, to me, feels like the Fellowship. And, you know, if we get the 4 and 5 from James Cameron, Fire and Ash feels like the Two Towers.
This Avatar 1 is almost like just a prologue, essentially, to the movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I could see that, yeah.
If we're following the James Cameron, like, vision, Fire and Ash would be the Two Towers, where, like, as they were coming out, like, the Two Towers love was, like, oh, people are excited for the next one because we're going to see how this all ends. But, like, now looking back, people love Two Towers. Most, like, die-hard Lord of the Rings movie fans that I know are like, yeah, Two Towers is the best one, myself included. I think there's a world where if 4 and 5 really give us the Return of the King, here's your 4-hour-long epic, like let's just end it. I could see a world where Fire and Ash surpasses Way of the Water for me, but as it stands, I would rather revisit the world of that little ocean biome. Like, the fact that we didn't get a new biome to truly, like, love and embrace in Fire and Ash is its biggest detriment, second only to the fact that they introduced something like Varang in the Fire Nation, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, and we don't get a conclusion or, like, enough context there on why they are just disposable Na'vi, and it feels so retrograde to everything that was in the first two movies in terms of world building. We just hear that, like, oh, Awa neglected us and we were dead, and we still made it happen, and now we're gonna ruin it for everyone else, is just not, like, enough. If that had a flashback scene that was, like, really good, if they wanted to experiment with what if you added an animated sequence, what if they did what, like, Deathly Hallows Part 1 does, and we see Varang's flashback as, like, a hand-drawn 2D animated thing. That would have been brilliant. So then I would forgive 4 and 5 being animated.
And really, like, when Stephen Lang's character is drugged up, I guess you could say, I don't know how else to put it, I thought that could have led into, like, an animation scene like Deathly Hallows. Yeah, that's my favorite scene of the movie.
It's crazy that as it stands, the first Avatar is going to be the highest rated one on this list.
Yeah, I also had Avatar 1 above Way of the Water. So, Avatar 2 was number 8 for me, Avatar 1 was number 7, and Avatar Fire and Ash was number 6.
Okay, so you've got them all right next to each other in, like, the middle to low end of the tier.
You know, I gave them all 2.5. They are movies that I really admire, but they can't reach that next level for me, unfortunately.
That's valid. We should probably step away from Avatar for a little bit, but not too long. Okay, so we're caught up to my list. My number 6 is Aliens.
Okay, it was my number 4.
Okay.
So we're not far off. Yeah.
No, we are finding compromise already. I love the first Alien movie, and I have a lot of love for Aliens, but it's not as good. Like, it's simply not. I like what James Cameron was able to take advantage of in Aliens in terms of, like, Ridley Scott made a banger of a movie, and it's, like, more of a horror movie, but it made a lot of money. It was cool. It had this big, lofty sci-fi premise, and it's good. And the studio's like, we could get Sigourney Weaver back. Like, we should make another one. And Ridley Scott's like, I got other ideas. Let me make a bunch of bad movies for 8 years. And then let my brother cook with Top Gun. I don't want to make anything worth watching for another decade.
The Ridley Scott film, however we do that, because he's got like 50 movies, so we wouldn't be able to rank all of them, but whenever we get to a Ridley Scott episode, it's going to be so fun.
I think we got to do it when he officially retires or unfortunately falls over on the set of Napoleon 2, because you know, like, I'm not opening that can of worms until I have to, but he's got a lot of movies.
That's like a 5-hour podcast.
If we're not careful, this one could be too.
That's fair. That's fair.
Back to my point with my reason why I think Aliens belongs here is like it expands on the world of Alien. And I think
Very
it has
much.
a lot of cool stuff. I like the amount of creatures and special effects and action set pieces. We get like the space marines and all of that kind of stuff. And it's very well done and it's very captivating to me. But like a lot of early James Cameron movies, it feels like a beta test. You know,
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I also made a little bit of a movie that you might have heard of called Terminator that was kind of a little bit more of a thriller than it was an action movie. And, you know, if... You know, we just add a $sign to Alien, and we're like, hey, let's make it an action movie. Maybe you guys would let me make a movie that it could be a lot bigger and better than Terminator 2 someday. You know, like, you can hear the pitch in the movie for him to make Terminator 2.
Master elevator pitch. It really was.
It's one of the coolest stories in Hollywood history.
I double checked. I went to look at a top 100 list of all my favorite movies that I made on Letterboxd. Alien is number 6, the first Alien.
Holy shit. I didn't know you had it that high.
You know, I didn't realize it either. I kind of adore that movie. I love the world it sets up. From my ranking, I think it is Ridley Scott's best movie. I don't know if it actually is that. That's a different ranking. But to Cameron, though, it is a very hard, you know, to go at that, especially when it's tonally so different. And at the time, people watching didn't know that this was Cameron's thing. God, he loves Marines. Even in True Lies, Schwarzenegger has to say a line, "Good job, Marines." It's just so funny. Mystical, alien water creatures, and Marines. He loves it. It's such a tonal shift. And a lot of people love it for that. That's the weird thing. I think there's a lot of boomers, a lot of Gen Xers that love Aliens because of that. Like, if you watch, like, Screen Junkies or channels like that in the early 2010s of, like, YouTube criticism, they really hype up Aliens. Like, they put it on par with, like, the greatest sequels ever made. And then when I finally got around to watching it, I think it's really good, but I didn't feel that, like, big, like, thing like they were talking about where they're like, this is like Empire Strikes Back, Two Towers, like, and I'm like, no, it's an action sequel to, I think, one of the greatest, if not the greatest, sci-fi thriller of all time. That's not bad, but I wouldn't also say it's phenomenal.
I think my biggest problem with Aliens, like, thematically from the first movie, like, I don't mind the genre change, like, especially with, like, the goals of Aliens is to, like, there's a cool world set up in, like, a lore in Alien, but it's kind of the background. Like, at the end of the day, that's a haunted house movie in space.
Yeah.
It plays the hits of scares and body horror and fears, but thematically, that's a movie about the fears of, like, pregnancy.
Yeah.
Right? And it's funny because all of the male characters die in a way that's body horror and mutilation in the way that, like, you know, prepartum mother might have fears of childbirth.
Yeah.
And I think that that's, like, really fucking smart.
Yeah. At the end, when the xenomorph is attacking Ripley in that final ship battle, it's when she's at her most, you know, how do you phrase it, exposed? Like, at her most vulnerable. Yeah. It's a great way to end the movie. Not only you are elevating your themes, but also just showing Ripley's a badass. Like, here's your stereotypical, like, oh, here it is, damsel in distress. No, she fucking kills that fucking xenomorph. And we're ending this movie. Ripley's a badass. Cameron, nothing to do with him, but a little rant. What was the character they killed off in Alien 3 right away that they set building up in Aliens? I'm blanking on the name, but even Cameron was like, Newt. Yeah, and Cameron's like, you're just gonna kill Newt off in the beginning of the third after I spent the whole movie setting that character up?
Well, and that's my biggest problem with Aliens is Newt. Like, I actually agree with Alien 3 in that, because it's too on the nose and it's too surface level, and in a lot of ways it's too James Cameron to make your follow-up to your fear, your main monster of the alien, of the xenomorph and Alien, being an extended metaphor for pregnancy and for the fears of body horror, to then being like, well, now she's got to be a mother, but, like, she wakes up into a situation where there's a little girl she has to take care of. That's not motherhood. And then, like, they force that theme down your throat in this movie, and it doesn't feel it feels so fucking on the nose compared to the like the hidden themes and subtext from Alien. And it's like come on, like obviously James Cameron's not the guy to write the movie too. Like, dude, we couldn't got a script consultant on Aliens to like add some subtlety. Like, Aliens is like almost like over the top exaggeration of Alien, and I like it for an action movie, but it is a bad sequel.
Yeah, and even some of the action you kind of get tired of after a while. Not to be the old man on the lawn, but like there's you get to a point where it's like, all right, I'm kind of numb to seeing aliens get shot up by a machine gun. Let's wrap it up. But no, there's great sequences, and I feel like I'm being a little too negative on Aliens. It is a really fun action movie. It's number 4 on my list.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
There's a reason why it's on a lot of people's best sequels of all time lists. I get it. It does something different. It's not what you'd expect, but it is like really competently made. Like, it's a great action movie.
Yeah.
I love Aliens, but it's not a top 5 James Cameron for me.
Yeah, my next lowest is Avatar 1, to maybe just wrap up the Avatar convo. Definitely with each watch, this movie's gone better for me all 2 times I've seen it. And like that's another, this is the perfect movie, I think, to bring that up, where these movies are really tough to watch at home if you're just a casual viewer. And I am not a hater of 3-hour movies. There are 3-hour movies I love, and I will sit at home and watch. I mean, any Scorsese movie that's 3 hours long, I will sit and watch the whole thing in one sitting. So I'm not anti 3 hours by any means. I don't even know if this movie even hit the 3-hour mark like the others. No.
It did not. It's like 2:42, I think.
Yeah, and the first time I watched this was at home. I didn't see Avatar in theaters as a kid, just busy family. We don't go to the movie theater often at the time, so we watched it at home. I think we rented it on DirecTV, back when DirecTV would have like the movie rental, and it would be at a certain time, so you'd be waiting for the countdown. That was the best. I think that was my Blockbuster. Because the waiting was kind of hype. Like, they give you a visual countdown, and it's like, oh man, I haven't seen this movie yet. Like, this is so cool. Like, such a niche thing, because I know not everybody had DirecTV. Just a tiny thing from my childhood about movies that I really cherish. But going back to Avatar, it hasn't, hit me just like the others. I do like that Jake Sully's in this wheelchair, and then when he becomes the Na'vi, he walks. I think there's a lot of good visual storytelling there from the character perspective. I think Jake Sully does get too much hate, even as an Avatar hater. I mean, I remember his fucking name. That really says a lot. And I like his video diaries in this movie. There are things about this movie I really remember. Like, this movie did make an impact. I'm not one of those where Avatar just disappeared. I'm like, no. Because every time an Avengers movie came out, the question would be, oh, is it going to beat Avatar? Like, Avatar, still to this day, is this final boss in the box office that is still discussed. Its zeitgeist, is that it's made money. That's the zeitgeist of it.
I actually have Avatar at my number 5, so I'm really content right now.
Yeah.
I don't have this, and there's obviously a lot of technology that happened between Titanic and Avatar to, get it made. Mm-hmm. And I think steps that were made with Davy Jones and Gollum for motion capture performances and visual effects. There were some giant stepping stones for Avatar to be the thing that it was. But I'm somebody who watched it once, the same kind of setup, except I didn't have the cool DirecTV countdown. If I had the same cool DirecTV countdown, Avatar might be in my top 4 movies of all time. So thank God I watched this on someone's DVD copy. I think I was at a Christian slumber camp, mission trip kind of thing. And someone was like, oh, I brought Avatar. And I'm like, okay, yeah, throw it on the TV in this rental cabin, I guess. And we all watched it, and it was silent. Everyone was just sitting there watching it in silence. And I was like, that was pretty cool. I don't get it. I didn't understand it. But then I started to rewatch it during COVID. Because there was all this talk of, well, Avatar 2's coming up. I gotta start caring about Avatar. And I kind of gaslit myself into really liking Avatar. and it worked. I became an Avatar fan.
Worked for me with Marty Supreme in December. I was like, you know, I'm gonna ironically campaign for this, and then I actually see the movie. I'm like, oh, that was really good.
Yeah, we've got more to discuss on that later.
I think 5's a good place for it, actually.
The best part of Avatar is the world. Like, Pandora is awesome. It's cool. Does it look like a video game? Yeah. Does it still look like a video game in the newer ones? Kind of.
You know, and I think I would actually like the Avatar franchise more. I know it had a video game, but I never played it. And I heard the video game was decent, but if it had a really good video game, even in between the movies, I think that would have helped me. Other extra media like that, I mean, same thing with Star Wars. I got into sports through video games. Like, it's that other medias I think more movies need to think about, and you might build a connection. Like, I don't know. Maybe if there was a really good Running Man video game, it would have made money. But it's that cross-promotion like nobody really thinks of anymore.
My next movie, I believe this is number 3, is The Terminator, which I had at number 4. The first Terminator movie.
It's my number 2. My favorite Terminator movie. I even rewatched some parts of the movie to make sure that it still was. And I'm actually very confident now, even more.
Yeah, I really like The Terminator. I really like, thematically, it's awesome. I really like the way it handles like time travel as a concept. How it handles artificial intelligence as a concept is really ahead of its time and becoming more and more timely. I think that the like threat of the T-800 of Arnold Schwarzenegger as this unstoppable killing machine is felt all the way through this movie. One of the best scenes in cinematic history is the T-800 going through that Los Angeles police station and pretty much leveling it. It is one of the coolest fucking scenes of all time. It is badass. I have a few like very small gripes with the movie, but none of it is in the acting, none of it's in the directing. For a movie that costs like $1 million, it looks fantastic and has aged extremely well. I really, really love how it incorporates like technology of the time and just really, really good action set pieces in a movie that's primarily like a cat and mouse game. I love Linda Hamilton, I love Michael Biehn, and I love Arnold Schwarzenegger in this movie. Like, that is one of the best 3-build movies you can come up with. Yep. But I do like the world and the setting of this grimy, like, disgusting Los Angeles. I like how it's always rainy and it's like everything's wet. It really is one of the greatest achievements of a low-budget movie ever. Yeah. And I have to appreciate that. I think it's lightning in a bottle that this movie is as good as it is, and I love
stat. It. Could be the greatest under $2 million movie ever.
Yeah, maybe. I think there's some good like coming of age indie dramas that, you know, I might campaign for, but yeah, I mean, with the bang for your buck, this is one of the best ever.
I mean, even these days, like movies, there's so many great movies that are, you would think, low budget that is over 2 million. Because what was Nora, like 20 million or something like that?
I think like production budget was like 8 million.
8 million? Yeah, it's incredible. I was on my treadmill while rewatching Terminator, so it felt like Arnold was chasing me. The scene...
It's a good workout movie.
Yeah.
It's a good workout movie.
The scene where they're in the car hiding from the T-800 in the parking garage, and he's just circling around in the cop car, and he's just... It's Arnold. He just looks like a fucking menacing robot. And while he's hotwiring the car, he's explaining the entire lore to Terminator and the entire lore of Terminator, what's happened, what his world is now, and explained why her son is so important. And they do this while he's all hotwiring a car. I'm like, it's script writing 101, but it's brilliant. And it finishes, and I'm like, damn! I love that. I'm like, why couldn't he do that for Avatar? But going back, but that sequence alone, it was just like, man, this movie is like tight. It's so good. Like it's one of those things where I'm like, God, they just don't make them like that anymore. It's like brand new IP. They set up the world so perfectly. I can't think of another movie that does it so well. At least a time travel movie I can't think of that does it so well. Even Back to the Future's a little like, I got this uranium from terrorists. Marty, you gotta go. Like, it's a little convoluted when you really think about it. But then, like, Terminator, though, it's like in that one fell swoop, and I'm glad I rewatched that scene, because I was just like, man, that's how you fucking set up, like, a brand new movie to get people going. Like, they only told you what you needed to know. Like, none of this extra BS, and then you go right back to it. And while he's explaining, you see shots of the Terminator going around, and he just looks so you forget how menacing he looks, because I'm not hating on T2, but he becomes the friendly sidekick in the next one, and you just forget how good he was in that first movie.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. It is awesome, and it sets up an entire universe that should have been better. And I think it honestly, it takes a lot of... people say that James Cameron's kind of like an egomaniac, and I see it. Like, I get why people say that. But, like, if he wanted his Star Wars and wanted it to be easy, he could have made, like, 4 more Terminator movies. And he is like... I got the first one, and it's the reason I'm able to do what I do, and I've got a banger of a sequel idea, and then I'm out. If you want to make more, you can have my blessing, I guess.
Yeah, I mean...
He seems more passionate about the fucking Robert Rodriguez Alita Battle Angel than he does about a single fucking Terminator sequel that he didn't direct.
And now wants to come back and write it with AI, which is that's a conversation on its own, but that's where I'm like, all right, Cameron. But
okay, boomer.
Yeah. What I love about the 2 movies is that the timeline does stop. Like, it is just those 2 movies, and then it kind of just flips on itself. And I think that's why a sequel has never worked, because those 2 movies are intertwined with each other lore-wise so importantly. It's perfect. It really is. I love T1 a little more than T2, but man, you can't have one without the other. And I mean, to bring this all home, T2 I will put at, number 2, just to continue the Terminator conversation. And so we know what my number 1 is then.
You mad lad. You've done it again.
But T2, I mean, it is one of the greatest action movies ever made. Banger of a Guns N' Roses song as well. Point that out in the build-up. The marketing for this movie was insane. A sequel, let me just fact check myself. 1984 was the first Terminator, and then its sequel is 1991. That's a big gap, especially for back then. And with some brilliant marketing and James Cameron at the helm, it became a spectacle. I'm sure there were people that had never even seen the first Terminator that went into this movie. It was that huge.
The fact that somewhere in the early 2010s, I watched them out of order just because of how much people like Terminator 2 is a testament to probably how good that marketing was.
Real quick, what's just your quick thoughts on the sequels? Do you have a favorite one?
Terminator?
Yeah, I've never seen Genesis. So if we
I've
ever
seen
get
Genesis,
to a Terminator episode,
I've seen Dark Fate, I've seen
the others.
Rise of the Machines. What's the one with Batman in it? Christian Bale one? Terminator
Salvation? Yes.
Salvation. Yeah, okay.
Great name.
I've seen all of them. They all kind of like blend together. Like Rise of the Machines to me feels like the closest to the James Cameron ones.
I was about to say Rise of the Machine works until the ending.
Even then, it feels like the studio trying to continue what James Cameron did, and it doesn't really work that well for me. If I had to pick a favorite of them, I'm gonna go with like the fucking weirdo pick and say Dark Fate, because like it just starts the movie off by killing John Carter, and you're like, what are we gonna do now? What does the future look like? And at least that's like the most interesting writing premise is like, what if the T-1000 completed its job in T2, and that's fun enough.
The 2 most interesting things from Salvation culturally is the Christian Bale rant and the really awesome arcade game in local movie theaters.
That's my big takeaway from it. I remember it being like a grungy humans versus robots action movie, and like I don't know, it feels too Iraq war coded for me. Why is it all yellow tinted?
And then the de-age Arnold at the end, way too early for that. He looks so rubbery. This is weird. I don't. That has its fans though. There are some.
Also, I love Christian Bale.
Fans.
Horrible pick for a grown-up John Carter.
Like, I look at John Carter in T2, and then I see Christian Bale. I'm like, they are not the same person. Like, come on.
Yeah, like, come on. That's not John Connor. That's like, I don't know, Batman or American Psycho. Yeah. Like, it's a weird. That's a weird one. I mean, it's probably like technically the best sequel.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not like ever like, oh, I really want to rewatch Salvation.
Do you prefer the T800 or the T1000 as a movie antagonist? Just strictly on that.
I think the better movie antagonist is the T800.
Yeah.
But I think what they do with the T1000, where like to, speak your culture a little bit and talk wrestling, T800's like the ultimate heavy. That is a guy you don't want to be in the ring with. And I like that the T1000 is still a heel, but it's like a little bit more of that weird like cruiserweight, like, he's not intimidating because he's so big. He's intimidating because of the technology that's gone into him to be able to look like your mom on a phone call and then stab your dad in the face.
I was about to say, yeah, his scariness isn't physical. It's that how he could blend into society and he could just kill you without you even knowing.
There's another incredible anti-cop scene in Terminator 2 that I have to point out where they go up to the cool kid with the red mullet, like John Carter or John Connor's best friend. He's like, "Have you seen this kid?" He's like, "Nah, never seen him." Always, people. Conversations with Police 101, just be the cool kid with the red mullet, okay? Always.
Oh, also, Linda Hamilton, I mean, in the first movie, she's good. Like, she's exactly what she needs to be.
She's great.
But man, in T2, badass.
She rises to the occasion. I think the Academy Awards today would recognize a performance like Linda Hamilton in Terminator 2 Judgment Day because of how different it is. Alone. Yeah, I mean, she put on probably 20 pounds of muscle, looks completely unrecognizable, and is playing such a different version of the same woman, and you can tell it's the same woman. I love her dream sequence of the playground and the nuclear fallout and all that shit. Like, all of her scenes are so well acted, and I love how she's out for blood like the T-800 to kill Miles Dyson. My favorite thing about Terminator 2 is how it's the war that you hear about and see in like the very beginnings of the movies of what the future looks like, but it's the war being fought in the past, and the first movie is about stopping John Connor from being born, and the second movie is stopping Skynet from being born. She's kind of the villain of the movie in terms of the plot, in terms of getting in the way of shit, in terms of ruining kind society, but she's the hero because she knows what's to come, and it's really, really well done. It's honestly, when you said that Neytiri is the best female character that
you could definitely make
that James
argument.
Cameron's ever done, I think there's a strong case for her in this movie specifically.
Yeah, I think Linda Hamilton does so much herself, while Cameron really had to create Neytiri, not only on the script but visually. Don't get me wrong, Zoe Saldana also brought that character to life. It's a great combo with the two of them. But I think I'd give the edge to Linda Hamilton more than Cameron, just based on the physicality and what you go through. But no, Cameron also had a role in it, no doubt.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think some of the writing of Terminator 2 is a little weaker than the first one, but
it's aged a little bit.
I do think the action set pieces are just so fucking incredible. The final climax of Terminator 1 and 2 is like a little long. Like, I'm like, okay, like we know where this is going. Yeah, like the goodbye into the molten lava with the thumbs up. It's a little Pixar-y for me. I don't know. I don't need that.
It's a little too feel good. It's like, I know it's not the same Terminator, but it's like, this was the guy a movie ago that was looking like the ultimate badass. And now
it is smart to make the main character a kid. Like, it's an R-rated movie, but the fact that it's targeted so heavily at kids is awesome.
It's big hero Terminator. What can I say? When he takes that shotgun out of the flowers, I mean, the movie just gets incredible for the next hour. It's kind of insane.
When it slows down and has the plot, and they're in the desert and they're gathering arms, and then she tries to go kill Miles Dyson. It does slow down a little bit, but Once they take him hostage and they get to the headquarters, it like picks back up, but it never reaches the heights of the 40-minute mark, in my opinion.
Well. Nate, I don't think this was your number one, but you've been
It's
put
not.
in the
It's
position.
my number two. It's my number
right
two,
there.
and
It
it's
is right
your
there.
number one. It is Titanic. We are both very big Titanic fans. How can you not be?
Yeah.
Who doesn't like this movie? Like, I'm sorry. It's almost perfect.
If you don't like this movie, you're like a 12-year-old boy, for one. Or I guess you just hate Leo, because there's that group too. Those are really the only like two demographics I guess this movie isn't for.
Okay, so you're either a 12-year-old boy or a really annoying 23-year-old woman that I don't want to be in the room with. So, yeah, you're right. Those are the two people that don't like Titanic.
But it's weird, when I was a kid, this is one of my first very early movie memories where it just felt different, just how grand it was. I watched this movie, it was not to flex again, but my parents had HBO. This movie was on HBO a lot, and so I was constantly seeing it, and it was one of those first movies where every time I watched it, I found something different about it that I really liked. It's such a weird movie to like, but I was kind of fascinated by the Titanic itself as a kid, because you don't know what the Titanic is going into the movie, at least for me. As I'm watching the movie, I remember for the first time, I have very vivid memories of my parents explaining to me what the Titanic was and, you know, the history behind it. And I was kind of just fascinated that this largest ship, the unsinkable ship, actually did sink. It felt almost biblical. Like, it almost felt like just a myth story, but it actually happened less than 100 years ago at the time. So for James Cameron to also be interested in it, obviously, he loves his water, he'd go down and explore the Titanic, and to make this grand movie out of it, I think is just awesome. That's what movies are fucking all about, is bringing this stuff to life.
It's brilliant that this is his follow-up to, like, True Lies. It's brilliant. It's like, he's never made another movie like Titanic.
No.
It is, and a lot of it I think is from his own fascination and getting to the bottom of the Mariana Trench, which is pretty badass, and I'm here for. I really like his documentaries.
His poor agent, who probably sweats every time that man goes under.
The concept of Titanic is brilliant because it is a disaster movie. It leans into one of the highest grossing film trends of the 1960s and 70s. It's a disaster movie.
I love disaster movies, even the bad ones.
Yes.
I love them.
But it's a period romance movie at the same time, which is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about getting women to the theaters, you make a period romance movie. The new Emerald Fennell adaptation of Wuthering Heights hasn't come out yet, but I know every brat in my life's gonna go see it.
And it's in the 90s. It's at the height of chick flicks, quote unquote, where a movie like You've Got Mail, like we've reviewed, makes a lot of money. Like, people were just going to the movies for anything, like specifically that demographic were loving going to the movies and seeing romance stuff at the time.
And another reason why it's so brilliant is that, like, you know, your parents know about the Titanic.
Yeah.
But do they know about the Titanic because this movie came out in their lifetime? Like, obviously we weren't alive and kicking in 1997, but, like, it brings up this somewhat recent tragedy that's far enough removed that it could not necessarily be lost to time, but it's not like the Titanic started a world war or a global conflict. It was borderline incompetent capitalists fucking sinking a ship.
Yeah.
Like, whether you believe in conspiracy theories or what really happened, I mean, it's a big ass ship that was taking a lot of people and hit an iceberg, and it became a nightmare.
Yeah, I bring up biblical stuff. It's like the walls of Jericho. It's something you never think would happen.
Yeah, it's the perfect, not only like crowd-pleasing movie, but also like it's a period drama. It's a chick flick. It's got a little bit of everything for everyone, and that's something that James Cameron captures better than most American directors. At the very beginning of this discussion, I said why he stands out from your Spielbergs and your Scorseses. He can make a movie for just about anybody, even if there's parts of a movie that people don't like. Like, my girlfriend, I took Cameron, my beautiful girlfriend Cameron, to go see Avatar Fire and Ash. She fucking hated it because there's so many, like, people tending to wounds and battle moments and we gotta kill this kid. Like, it's too much of a Chad action movie. Whereas Way of the Water has Chad action movie moments. It has Jake Sully acting like a Marine. But it's got cute little nature moments and whales. And it's like, for the most part, James Cameron can make a movie that anybody can sit down and watch in a way that a lot of foreign films have to cater to all audiences, because foreign cinemas like aren't as like much of a weekly or monthly occurrence for their demographic. Like, I don't know how many Bollywood movies you've seen or how many like Hong Kong cinema movies you've seen, but like a big reason why they break out into dance or have like a really big like romantic climax before the action set piece is because the whole family's going to see this one movie for the year. And like, grandma's gotta like it, the kids have to like it, and dad and mom have to like it. It has to reach all audiences, and that, like, there's no American movie I can think of that does that better than Titanic.
Yeah, I totally agree. This is like, talk about just culturally relevant. It's timeless. I think that's a good word for it. It is a timeless fucking movie, star-making movie in both of its leads. Just, career-defining moments. For this cast.
Billy Zane is incredible in this movie.
Billy Zane is awesome.
Billy Zane is why I go back to this movie every other year.
One of the most underrated actors of his era, and I'm glad he is a part of this. Like, I'm like, it's one of those actors where you do kind of worry for their legacy, but he always has this, which is awesome to see. Just a guy that never really got his flowers, I feel.
Do we get a Billy Zane Na'vi in Avatar 4 and 5? Or can we?
That'd be awesome.
What if Quaritch had a brother that we didn't know about? What if we go full soap opera with it?
What do you think of Kathy Bates in this movie? Here's a random tidbit. I find her distracting, but kind of in a good way, where I'm like, oh, I forgot Kathy Bates is here.
Every time I forget she's there, and then it's like a jump scare, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, Kathy Bates is in this.
It's weird that this movie, you gotta talk about the big man in the room, Leo. Because of this movie, Leo's been able to just work with every critically acclaimed American director ever. Like, he has had a Michael Jordan run, and because of Titanic, he never had to do a superhero movie. Famously turned down Robin, Spider-Man, and Anakin Skywalker. It's like, I don't need that. I did fucking Titanic. I could do whatever I want now. And he was right. This is just it is one of those weird moments in a career. You can barely compare it to anything. It is the greatness that Timothée Chalamet is striving to be. Now, if Timmy wins his Oscar this year, which will be a discussion later, then he's got to find his Titanic. Or he's going to be attached to like an MCU movie.
I don't think so. I think the cinema landscape has changed so much where him being the principal lead and the titular character of an A24 movie, and it's their biggest one ever, is enough for him to never do an MCU movie if he doesn't want to, because he's already latched himself onto prestige franchises, meaning Dune, meaning, I guess, fucking Wonka. Like, I don't know. He's not, like, if he was gonna be cast in anything, he would probably be fucking Robin in The Batman, but I bet you Matt Reeves wasn't interested in writing the character for him.
Titanic, the main score. Top 10 scores of all time?
Maybe one of the best original songs for a movie. God bless. My Heart Will Go On.
Gotta be one of the most iconic notes in film. Like, when you hear those opening notes, everyone knows where it's from. It's on par with Star Wars and Star Trek and all of those, just like those little notes, and you know right away what it is.
Yeah, Celine Dion kicks ass. I'm tired of pretending she doesn't. We need more French Canadians making music.
Do people hate her now?
I don't know. I know lesbians still love her. The gays love her. I don't know.
That's.
I mean, I just like, what's her output? Like, do people listen to her new stuff? Like, whenever she goes on tour, I see tons of people I know go. So I don't think people hate her.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt every year she's still getting royalties from this. Like,
oh my God, it's her biggest song by 5 miles.
Yeah. That, like, her, like, fucking 20 million monthly listeners or whatever she has on Spotify, half of that, maybe more than half of that, is just listening to the Titanic song.
I like more of her songs, but yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah. There's a lot of Chad bros I know that are listening to that song all the time. Like, that's a defining thing in itself.
Now, I know we have to make a combined list, and I'm sure this will take us a little bit of time as well. But there's one aspect I have to kind of take away from Titanic a little bit and why it's not my number one.
Yeah, of course.
Besides James Cameron, because you're saying this is your favorite James Cameron movie.
Yeah.
Who else in this is at their absolute height of their powers? Obviously, probably Billy Zane, fortunately. I would love to see him in something else. This isn't my favorite Leonardo DiCaprio performance.
No.
Not even my favorite young Leonardo DiCaprio performance.
That's
Isn't my
fair.
favorite Kathy Bates performance. It isn't my favorite Kate Winslet performance.
But do you think it's Kate Winslet's, like, peak?
Maybe, like, culturally and financially.
Like, when I think of Kate Winslet, it's her, the hand on the window, which I found out it's James Cameron's hand. Thanks, James. Yeah, that
I
was
jerked
like
off to that hand! He did his nails?
He must have. Apparently it came from like a Fire and Ash marketing. He said it in an interview.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like he should have
that
kept
changes
that
everything.
a secret. Yeah.
Yeah.
That should have just never been told to the public.
I think I'll be okay.
Next, he's going to tell me he did mocap for the Fire Navi.
No, thank God that's Charlie Chaplin's granddaughter.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That's cool. I did not know that.
Her name's like Ugma Chaplin or something like that.
She's so good in it too. That's a good point though. If we're talking like critically, is this anyone's best performance? No. I would say for Kate Winslet though, this is the thing she's known for. At least
Fair
in
enough.
mainstream media. What gets me at number one for this is I don't think anyone else does this well that isn't Cameron. Cameron was, in love with this idea and exploring the Titanic, and nobody was able to do the spectacle like him. It's one thing to make a really great action movie, but this could have failed so easily. On paper, probably a lot of people thought it was going to, and the guy keeps proving us wrong, and I feel like this was the first big one where I think he did prove a lot of people wrong just on how crazy big it was.
Yeah, I mean, he changed what the concept of a big movie could be with this film. Absolutely, in every conceivable way. Do you remember your first experience? You said it was on HBO?
I want to say HBO, Stars, something like that. My parents would change the channel when a certain scene happened, so it wasn't my first of that. It was one of the first quote unquote boring movies I loved. Like it wasn't a superhero, wasn't sci-fi, it wasn't action. It was a romance movie. I wonder if it was concerning for my parents that I liked that movie at like 4 years old, but I was becoming a film bro. Little did they know, unfortunately. Quite worse than whatever they were thinking.
Yeah, far worse. Far worse. I remember the first time I watched this movie, it was on VHS. I think it was at my aunt's house, if I remember correctly. And I remember it being the first VHS I had ever seen on 2 different cassettes. And I was like, we gotta watch that. It's 2 movies in one. And yeah, it sold me. It was a VHS that was like a double wide, and I was like, we gotta watch that. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, first tape a little boring for me at age 7 or 8, but tape 2 was pretty epic.
That was kind of the thing that almost ruined the movie when I first watched it, because I remember, my parents explained to me what the Titanic was. So as a kid, you're just like, all right, where's the iceberg? Like, you're just kind of waiting.
Josh, next time you come to New York for more than a single day, I want to take you to go see Titanic, which is a parody musical of Titanic, the movie, but told from Celine Dion's perspective. It's completely unhinged, really gay, in a very fun time.
I love that.
It's a musical. All of the songs are Celine Dion songs, and it tells the plot of Titanic.
The Jersey Boys Titanic.
Yeah, and it's hilarious. It's not on Broadway. It's like randomly down in the village, like Stomp used to be,
right.
And it's just there.
That's so
They
funny.
do a rotating cast. It's fun. It's worth seeing.
That's so good. But yeah, I feel like I sang the praises enough. Let's rework this list. I think we're good on number 10.
Yeah. 10's a lock. Is your next lowest?
It was The Abyss.
Is The Abyss?
Yeah, I feel like that's
Okay.
where we differ the most, because I feel like you think True Lies is kind of the bad James Cameron movie, and I think it's The Abyss. Not bad per se, but you know what I mean.
No, I like both of those movies, and I do think that they are like a tier below pretty much everything else.
I understand my love for True Lies is half ironic, so I'm completely fine with it just staying there.
I'm also fine with us not being the snobby fucking, oh, The Abyss is secretly James Cameron's most deep movie. Fuck Abyss. Like, I mean, honestly, like, it's been culturally reevaluated enough we can put it below True Lies. If, like, I love The Abyss. I could watch that movie pretty much any day. But if I'm hanging out with a group of friends, what movie are we turning on? We're watching True Lies at 10 o'clock in the morning at your house on New Year's Day.
There was just some shots of Arnold in that movie that were just so fucking funny. The zoom-ins, I mean, one of the zoom-ins has become a GIF classic. Like, yeah. Maybe The Abyss should go here.
I mean, I would like open the Avatar can.
Unless you want to
sacrifice
sacrifice an Avatar
lower. The one I'll sacrifice is the one you like the most. So I feel like I shouldn't even open that can of worms.
They're all the same rating though for me. I think if you want to drop Fire and Ash here, I think that's totally fine.
Okay, but at gunpoint, you would rather rewatch Fire and Ash than you would
would.
The Abyss.
Yeah, I would.
And I honestly probably would too. So
Yeah.
I think The Abyss is number 9.
Yeah. Then we had Fire and Ash, right?
We could add Fire and Ash here if we want to start knocking out Avatar movies since it's a third of the list. Or we could put True Lies here. I honestly would rather watch Fire and Ash again than I would True Lies again. But, I mean, I'll tell you what. I could watch True Lies and do my laundry, or still be stuck watching Fire and Ash. I think we'd put Fire and Ash at number 8.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good compromise. My love for Fire and Ash is because it is not like the others, which goes kind of the opposite of the point of this.
Okay, now can we put True Lies?
Yeah. I think
Okay.
I think that's very fair.
The True Lies propaganda has to be stopped. We only get 2 striptease scenes.
It was only at my number 5 because I don't care for the Avatar movie, so it elevated it really hard.
That's fair. The next question I have for you is at number 7. Which Avatar movie do we sacrifice next? Or do we go with my list and put Aliens there? I know that's probably not on the table yet.
Our longest discussion was Way of the Water, and I think there's a reason for that. I think that shows Avatar 1 should be here.
I agree.
Yeah, I think if we go based on that, I think that's very fair.
Alrighty. And now I have to probably fight for Avatar, Way of the Water versus Aliens.
I know you really want an Avatar movie in the top 4. And Aliens, like I said, is not even my favorite Alien movie.
Right now, this is for number 5.
Yeah, it's still made top 5. It's only my number 4, Aliens. I'm willing to drop it.
I think Aliens number 5, we split the difference. I had it at 6. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
And then I think, we can.
And then I think,
just
yeah.
put Way of the Water.
Way of the Water there. What a jump it made in my list from number 8 to number 4. Went up 50%.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think when it came to Terminator, you won that battle. Because right now we have 1 and 2, right? 1, then 2.
Yeah, we've got the top 3. We've got Terminator 1, Titanic, and Terminator 2 Judgment Day left.
We really glazed
I feel like
T2.
this is a discussion we've had before.
Yeah, we did. And if I'm trying to think of our discussion specifically right now, we really glazed T2. So it probably should go over 1. I don't think I won that battle.
Fair enough.
But I really think we glazed Titanic.
Yeah. We collectively glazed Titanic. That's true.
There's now a whole generation of people who did not realize the cultural significance of Titanic, and I think they need to know.
That's just because they need a better 9/11 movie than Remember Me.
If we talk about Titanic ripoffs, I love Pearl Harbor. I love that it's just a Titanic ripoff. It's so funny.
I also like Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
It's if we ever do a Michael Bay ranked, which I'm now closer to seeing all of his movies now that you've shown me 2 Transformers movies. It's probably
we could do it during the Skibbity Toilet marketing.
Is that coming? Is that still happening?
I thought it was a joke, but then he keeps talking about it. I don't know what's real anymore.
Fuck it. Yeah, bring on the skibbity toilet.
Yeah, like, I'm down if it exists. I don't know.
Is that movie gonna make more money than Minecraft? This is Martin's top 10 James Cameron movies. Number 10, Piranha 2, The Spawning. Number 9, True Lies. Number 8, Avatar, Fire and Ash. Number 7, The Abyss. Number 6, Aliens. Number 5, Avatar. Number 4, The Terminator. Number 3, Titanic. Number 2, Avatar 2, Way of the Water. And number 1, Terminator 2,
Wow.
Judgment Day. Now,
Wow.
Avatar 2, Way of the Water, for me, and I know this is getting back into the discussion that we already had an hour plus discussion about. Avatar, Way of the Water combines the two best James Cameron movies up until that point. It combines Titanic and Terminator 2, Judgment Day into one movie, but I think the sum of its parts are better than it as a whole.
That could cause it the imbalance, though, because it's too much James Cameron.
Yeah. All right, let's hear yours.
So my top 10, Ace's top 10 of big Jim Cameron movies. We got number 10, Piranha 2. Number 9, The Abyss. Number 8, Avatar, The Way of the Water. Number 7, Avatar. Number 6, Avatar, Fire and Ash. Number 5, True Lies. Number 4, Aliens. Number 3, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. Number 2, The Terminator. And number 1, Titanic. Wow. We had very different lists, but this felt less chaotic than Friday the 13th.
Yes.
We didn't put ourselves in corners as much. But I think some of the best discussions we've had in the history of this podcast. So if you guys have made it this far, I really hope you enjoyed it. And we want to know your opinions. We know everybody's got different rankings when it comes to James Cameron. So comment below what your ranking is, or at least rank the ones you've seen.
Yeah. Or just give us your top 3 even. If you don't want to think about the bad, just focus on the positive. We need more of that now.
Right now, the first Terminator is sitting on Netflix, so for those of you who haven't seen or haven't been introduced to Terminator
it goes away
yet,
at the end of the month.
Oh, damn. So yeah, catch it quick.
Stop watching Bridgerton Season 4 right now and watch the first Terminator right now.
There's no secret Stranger Things episode. Go watch Linda Hamilton in the good movie.
Yep, there it is. Thank you everyone who stuck around. It's been a pleasure talking James Cameron and having you all listen.
Thank you all for watching. I don't have an intro, or I don't have an outro, but I'll be back.